This is Rudo Radio coming to you from the 559.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Rudo Radio. It's the Weekly Wrestling Podcast from SB Nation and Cage Side Seats. I'm Bill Hanstock, and with me as always is Mark Normandin. How's it going, Mark?
Well, 2 days of good wrestling to talk about, so, pretty well.
We keep having good wrestling. Weird.
It's better than the alternative, in my opinion.
And also, the day that we're recording this is the day that New Japan's Pro Wrestling Dontaku happened, but neither of us watched it, so... instead, let's talk about the Tony nominations that came out.
I didn't pay much attention to those either.
No,
but, yeah.
Fine. Whatever.
I just saw Hamilton across my Twitter timeline a whole bunch of times.
Yep, but... that's appropriate. Let's go ahead and, as we always do, we're going to get started with the sad news, the bad news. Enzo Amore got a real bad concussion at Payback.
It's not great.
Real bummer.
It's not great.
The latest news is that it's a severe concussion, so he's going to be out for at least a little while. But they're planning to keep Big Cass on television for the time being to keep people reminded of the fact that we all love Enzo and Cass. And they did that to fantastic effect on Monday and gave Cass a huge win, gave him a bunch of showcase spots, and I thought they did a great job with it.
Yeah, it sucks we already have experience seeing what they do with Cass when Enzo's out.
Yeah.
Since it happened in NXT, but that really helped Cass grow instead of just kind of being Enzo's tall sidekick. Becoming a guy where you're like, wow, this guy's like maybe a future WWE champion type. If they want to go that route.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some teases about what he can be later. But the focus obviously is going to be on Enzo and Cass once Enzo is back, because that team is money.
Right. And it was a real shitty injury. It looked horrible. Especially before they started showing replays. It just looked god awful.
Yeah, Full Speed was so much more like telling of what happened than the slow motion.
It's like, oh my god, no. What is happening? Like, they tried, I think that they were trying, some creative shit can that they had worked out beforehand. Because that, Enzo probably has a real cool, backwards bump, or because he's, a little guy who can, do things that a lot of other guys can't do. So it seemed like him and Gotch had worked out, okay, you shit can me and I'll take this crazy bump. To sort of, get, massive sympathy early in the match. But it just didn't work out. It's just one of those things that happens. It's not anybody's fault. It's just one of those things that goes wrong in wrestling that can always go wrong. And it was just real bad.
Yeah, it looked like they were a little too close to the ropes, and, there was no time to react for either of them. Once Gotch was releasing him and Enzo had to duck. And, like you said, no one's fault, just kind of a weird timing placement sort of thing. And, at least the only air quotes thing that happened to Enzo was that he has a severe concussion. Man, I was not sure about his neck or anything when the way he fell down.
Yeah. Well, because not to get super ultra dark, but Pero Aguayo died because he just landed on the ropes wrong, trying to set up for a 619.
Yeah. So things, I think sometimes we don't appreciate how these things we think of as being very simple. Obviously the huge stunts are dangerous, but even little things like this can go awry.
Yeah, that's what I'm my thing that I keep harping on of people who get real shitty about people botching shit. Everything that they do is super difficult. You might get mad at a baseball player striking out, or striking out taking a close pitch or something, but you're not going to be oh, you fucked up. It's just it's everything that like athletes do is super hard, and we don't like get angry at them for like, you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
It's funny when a pitcher like falls down on the mound, like throwing a pitch. But like if someone falls down trying to do something athletic in wrestling, it's like, oh, you fucked up. That's going to be on Botchamania. Like, it's just a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
And you know, like wrestlers, obviously, like they can laugh at themselves, but like sometimes it is funny. But just, you know, back off. They're already like doing really, really, really difficult things.
Yep. Man, I'm just glad that Enzo was released like that night.
Yeah. And that like the silver lining of this, like even if like worst case scenario, like the concussion is so severe that like he can't come back, like Daniel Bryan, like there is absolutely no one in all of professional wrestling who is better equipped to transition into a non-wrestling role than Enzo Amore.
Yeah, Enzo as Cass's forever manager essentially is just, it's right there.
Or anyone's forever manager. Like he can be like as much as pro wrestling has transitioned away from managers, especially in WWE, like he can be the guy who becomes like the next generation's like Bobby Heenan or Grand Wizard or Slick or whoever. Like he has the chops to be like, this is a manager, this is a mouthpiece, this is what they can do for wrestlers. And start a whole new generation and a whole new trend of like, oh hey, managers have value in professional wrestling.
And man, I don't want it to come to that, but
I don't either.
At least there's that fallback. I mean, same deal with like Corey Graves when he went to announcing, except we didn't know he was going to be great at it. But like, it's nice that if something goes on, they'll find something for him to do, and he will probably just own it.
While we're talking about while Corey Graves came up, I think it's possible that Corey Graves is doing heel announcer absolutely correctly, and Jerry Lawler is leaning into it way too hard.
Man, I don't think I've watched enough SmackDown.
Well, I'm talking about the kickoff show, because kickoff show, Jerry Lawler said he'd rather be stuck on an elevator with Ray Rice than do something. And then like he said something else too that was like a little bit off color, but not nearly as far off color.
I missed all that because I turned the pre-show on as like a match was starting and was shocked that one had started before 7:30. So my only Lawler commentary had been like he said something that wasn't heelish late in the pre-show, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was real bad, real bad, and yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Well, he's not announcing pay-per-views anymore.
He said, I'd rather be in an elevator with Ray Rice than watch the Ambrose Asylum.
Wow.
So it wasn't even anything that like mattered.
Yeah. Ooh, man, Jerry, at least.
Yeah. He's like, I used to be able to say stuff like this.
Yeah, it was a different time, Jerry.
Yeah, so like, and like, well, like I have this real love-hate relationship with the running joke of Morrow calling the I think it's the Oshigoroshi, and every time he calls it when Styles hits it, Lawler goes like, Oshi what? And like makes jokes about it. Like he's heard it every week since Styles has debuted at this point. So yeah.
It's really long running, I feel like, just because he has the whole, back in the 90s he was so anti.
Oh no, he hates every minority, but especially Asians.
Yeah. He blames Taka for so much, and Brian Christopher's career. So,
well, like Funaki comes out, and Jerry Lawler's like, it's like 4 years into Funaki's run, and Jerry Lawler's like, "What's this guy's name again? Sushi?" Like it's just
damn it, Jerry.
So bad. Anyway, the other news that we need to get to before we start talking about the stuff that happened. Ryback got sent home.
The Ryback.
The big guy, the pre-show stopper. You saw that, right?
Yeah. Right before we started recording, I saw Cage Side posted something on why he was sent home. Well, reportedly, why he was sent home.
Yeah. So Meltzer is saying that Monday afternoon, Ryback and Vince McMahon. Ryback met with either Vince McMahon or Triple H because Ryback's deal is up in a few months. His contract is up in a few months, and they were trying to hammer out a new contract. And reportedly, the two sides are very far apart on money. And the result of that meeting, whether it was with Triple H or Vince McMahon, said that he was told that if he didn't like the offer, he can go home. And he did. He took his food and he went home. So it's possible that he may stay off TV until his contract's up. He might not be back in WWE, at least while he's on this contract. And Mark, do you find any irony in this, given Ryback's very public feud with CM Punk?
I was just thinking that while you were talking. Yeah, it's funny, but it's kind of... I wonder what the offer is and what Ryback thinks the offer should be.
Well, like, the over the past year, Ryback's been extremely outspoken about, like, he wants to be the top guy. He believes that he can, take John Cena's place. He believes he can be at the top. He can have a run. He can be the guy who sells all the merch. He can be the guy who carries the company. And that's sort of why CM Punk left too.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to let him be that guy. And I wonder how much of it he was trying to build into his next contract, assuming, that he would work his way up to that point.
Right.
That's...
I like Ryback. He had a really awesome match at Payback. He had new gear with a weight belt that said the pre-show stopper because he likes trolling himself and everyone else when he trolls people. He's very aware of where he's at on the card right now. I think that if they don't work out an agreement and Ryback ends up leaving when his contract's up, he's going to be a star somewhere. Like, he's going to go to New Japan and be like, or All Japan or Noah. He's going to go to Japan and be like a monster Gaijin, or like Albert, or like Doc Gallows, or like Brock Lesnar was. Or he's going to go to TNA and be a headliner, or he's going to go to Lucha Underground, or he's going to go just tour the indies and like be, the indie big guy and team with people like Cage and Elgin, and he's
going to say as much as I want to see Cage versus Ryback in Lucha Underground, somewhere in Japan seems like the most logical spot, especially with like New Japan just bled so much talent. Ryback coming in to replace, one of the big dudes they lost seems to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I think he's going to do awesome wherever he goes. And the problem with Ryback has never been Ryback. The problem with Ryback has been like dumb storyline or dumb motivation, like stuff that's out of Ryback's control. Like, he's a good wrestler and he's got like a big personality. So I'm just really excited to see, like, if this is the end of him in WWE for now. I'm excited to see where he goes and what he does. And especially if he goes to Lucha Underground, because, like, imagine if he goes in and he's like Hungry Man or whatever, like, he could just be like a Galactus character.
Literal eater of worlds, Ryback.
Yeah. Just imagine Ryback and Matanza going at it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Even though Ryback's like 6 inches taller than Matanza.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we don't appreciate how big Ryback actually is,
right?
Because he's in a company where they have an actual giant, and they also have, like lesser giants. The people who are only 6'8" and 300 something pounds.
Right.
But yeah, Ryback out somewhere. I was having a conversation on Monday about it before any of this Ryback stuff happened, but it was, I love watching him wrestle little guys because he's super strong and he's super big, but he's not like, he's also in the same universe as like a Big E who can lift Mark Henry over his shoulder and twirl him around.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, that's not Ryback. But you put outside the world of WWE, like Ryback will look like the strongest person out there.
Oh no, he's going to be an absolute monster.
Because like WWE has an abundance of those guys, but the rest of the world does not.
Yeah, like I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I'd really like to see Ryback in PWG and Reseda. Like I don't think that his asking price is going to be something that Dragon can afford, but man, that would be really, really fun.
Ryback.
Just him like in that tiny room calling everyone nerds.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be fine, regardless of where he ends up.
Yeah, he's going to do great, and he's going to make at least as much money as whatever it is he's asking for. Unless he's just out of his mind and asking for like... Like, I think he's right. Like, if the rumors about Alberto Del Rio's new contract with WWE were true, like, I think he's probably correct to ask for, like, that amount of money.
Yeah.
Because he's worth at least what Alberto Del Rio is worth. I mean, maybe not as far as, like, racial demographics go, but, like, as far as, like, just company value, I feel. Especially with what Del Rio's been doing since he came back, I feel like Ryback's worth what Del Rio's getting paid.
WWE might disagree. Or maybe they offered him that and he wanted even more.
Oh,
who knows?
Woof.
Yeah.
It's not worth that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Payback because it was almost entirely awesome.
Yeah, except for the Raw segment in the middle. I thought it was great.
Well, except for that and obviously the Enzo injury.
Yeah.
And I still don't know how to feel about the Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho match because it just felt plodding, but I'm sure it was fine.
I enjoyed it a lot. It's
Good.
one of those matches where I feel like I don't remember much the next day. But like in the moment, nothing was offensive to me and I was enjoying it.
Cool. But it had just dynamite matches. Like, I loved the Dolph Ziggler versus Robbie Corvette match. Like, Robbie Corvette's got some fancy new pants that look weird. And he manhandled Dolph. Like, when he did that, like, overhead, like, from the last ride position, like, pushing him over his head into the post, that was amazing.
Yeah, he really just beat the tar out of him. And I think that, there were a lot of complaints about, like, oh, you had him lose in his first, like, real big match.
No, I thought the ending was right. I thought it... Because it's like he's inexperienced and he's focused too much on, like, humiliating the other guy to... Like, Dolph Ziggler is a former 2-time world champion. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that...
Also, when you bring in a new guy and just have him, like, run with the undefeated streak, like, you paint yourself into a corner real fast.
Yeah, that's I mean, unless it's Bo Dallas's undefeated streak, you don't really need it for most guys.
Right.
But yeah, and it also continues the story of Corbin from NXT, which is essentially he is super talented, but he gets way too confident, lets Zigo get in the way, and then like never seals the deal. I mean, he was beating Aries up at TakeOver and lost via roll up.
Yeah.
For a lot of the same reasons, because he just didn't. He took all this extra time to like mock Ziggler, and it got him. And at some point, when Corbin realizes that he needs to stop that and just needs to continue with the manhandling, then he will be an unstoppable force, and there'll be evolution in his character.
Yeah, yay! Do you think that these two are going to have a rematch at Extreme Rules, perhaps in some sort of stipulation?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the roll up really lends itself to that because there was no definitive finish. No one got to whip out their finisher or even their secondary finisher or anything like that to finish the job. So
yep.
Ziggler's probably going to get I would think end of days right onto a chair is probably the end for Ziggler.
Yeah. It's weird. They didn't really do anything because they were both in the number one contender battle royal for the United States title. So now they only have 2 weeks to build to the next thing for both of them. But we'll see.
Corbin Corbin did something to Ziggler in
Oh,
the battle.
did he? I missed that.
He got eliminated, but then he dragged Ziggler out, or Ziggler got thrown out like in the middle ropes or something. But Corbin just beat the hell out of him and threw him back in the ring and just motioned to Rusev to throw Ziggler out and officially eliminate him.
Oh, nice. Oh man, Barry Corbin and Rusev would be a fun team.
Yes. Rusev's got other things to do for now, though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll get to that. But then Ryback and Kalisto had a really, really, really good match. Like an awesome match.
Maybe Ryback's last.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Man, that military press off the top rope.
Holy shit. I mean, if he's going out, like, that is a great image to go out on.
Yep. So the big guy came up short again. No pun intended. And yeah. Good match, great match. I think judging by my Twitter timeline, like it caught a lot of people by surprise, which is weird because these are two really good wrestlers, and
people don't like Ryback,
yeah,
and I think everyone's so disappointed by Kalisto so far, which is also like
that at least is understandable, but like it's the same thing like when people say that Roman Reigns isn't a good wrestler, like.
Oh, like Chicago did on Sunday?
Yeah. Like, you're just wrong. Like, you're not saying what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't connect with the audience on an emotional level doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Right.
So they just go to the very simple, you can't wrestle, which...
Yeah. Well, again, like, the problem with Ryback has never been Ryback. The problem with Roman Reigns has never been Roman Reigns. So, yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite characters they've done in the last few years was when Ryback first became a heel and was feuding with Cena and was just so honest and right about everything. But then they kind of quickly got rid of that, right after the Cena feud ended, or even during the Cena feud. But, whenever they open him up and let him kind of do stuff that he wants to be doing, he's so entertaining.
Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass, obviously that had a non-finish, but the Vaudevillains are going to be the ones to challenge New Day for the titles at Extreme Rules. Then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had a masterpiece.
I don't know if that was originally scheduled to go on second, but man, that was the right call if it wasn't, to switch things up and make that the next match, because I think I tweeted something essentially like, okay, these guys need to like change the vibe in the room because everyone is just down. And they did. Obviously they didn't make you forget about Enzo because it was just a frightening thing, but it was the next best thing where we were able to be distracted while worrying about the condition of Enzo.
Yeah. Great match. Amazing match. Owens won clean, decisively, bullied Byron Saxton into getting in the ring with him to interview him. Then said that he's coming for his Intercontinental title, and he stuck around at ringside to be on commentary when the Intercontinental title match happened. And another great match between Cesaro and Miz. And then Zayn came out to brawl with Owens at the commentary desk, and then they brawled all the way into the ring, and the ref had to turn around to get them out of the ring while Miz was tapping to the crossface. So Cesaro knocks them both off the apron and then gets rolled up for the pin. And now it looks like we're getting a 4-way feud for the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules.
I am very excited, even though, there are parts of the wrestling universe that are like, oh, why does The Miz have to be involved in this? It's like, why wouldn't The Miz be involved in this? Like, A, he's champion, and also he's great.
Yeah.
But, our love for Miz is well documented on this podcast, so we don't even have to get into that. But
our love for Miz's ticking clock berserker.
But man, Fatal 4-Way, either we get some closure on some stories or we open up some new stories. There's a lot you can do with those four guys in a match. And, we know they all work well together and they're all great. So I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And I think that, like, what do you think? Do you think that they're going to, like, make this a ladder match, or do you think it's just going to be a Fatal 4-Way because Fatal 4-Way is already a stipulation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no DQ situation already at Extreme Rules, so, like, someone will probably pull out a chair, someone will cheat with an object, to make it that much more extreme. But yeah, I don't think they need any additional stip. Just
I mean, was that Harold and Kumar go to White Castle when there's the bros who are like extreme? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember, but it sounds like it fits.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, they've done a few IC title ladder matches recently as well, so I feel like they want to probably should back off from that a little bit. But yeah, the 4 of them should be enough. You got 2 heels, you get 2 faces, and people react to all of them one way or another. Should be, that's got potential to be like a match of the night deal at Extreme Rules.
Mm-hmm. We had the Dean Ambrose Chris Jericho match, as we said. This continued on Raw when Chris Jericho killed Mitch.
Once the plant started getting called out by Stephanie McMahon by name, you knew something terrible was going to happen. I thought it might be her doing it, but I guess Jericho and Ambrose is happening again, which is fine by me. I enjoyed it, like I said.
Yeah, it's just funny, like with 5 weeks worth of TV time, like people really got invested in that plant.
Yeah, it's a credit to the charisma of the plant, I think.
And we had so this feud is going to continue to Extreme Rules. Who do you think is going? Like, what do you think this stipulation is going to be? Someone was suggesting plants are legal match.
Just the 2 of them smashing potted plants on each other repeatedly.
Yeah.
With Ambrose eventually winning because he sticks a cactus on Chris Jericho's face. I'd be in for that.
Oh, a cactus. Oh, that'd be great.
Right?
Yeah, if he was like, meet Mitch too, and it's a cactus.
just pegs Jericho with cacti.
Just sticks the cactus up his butt.
Oh.
That would be pretty Dean Ambrose-y.
Yeah, that's true.
Or just down his pants.
This does work with what my prediction was that Ambrose would win the first match, and then Jericho would be a shithead about it.
Yeah.
And Ambrose would win at Extreme Rules again for an emphatic victory in the feud, which he desperately needs.
You're a smart guy.
Well, I try. We're not there yet. Still got to get part 2 down. But yeah, it didn't feel like this was going to be over, even with a single win, because Jericho's that level of heel right now where, there'll be an excuse or he'll just up the asshole.
In more ways than one.
It all comes back around.
I've always said that, what wrestling's missing is not enough cactuses to the dick.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what it's missing. That's why the ratings are down.
I agree. Maybe if he had tried to use a cactus instead of a chainsaw, WrestleMania would have gone differently.
He's not good with technology. Yeah. So cactus is pretty analog.
He's a Luddite, but he's got a green thumb. All right, we had Charlotte perpetrating the Rosemont screw job with Lil Nate.
What did you think of this?
I thought it was funny. Like,
me too.
Who cares? Natalya wasn't winning the championship, so they had a solid match. It wasn't as good as their NXT match, but that was a classic. So it's hard to top. It's hard to top an all-time great match. It was fine, and they probably go to that well one too many times. But I mean, if Bret Hart's at ringside, you got to imagine like they ran it by him.
Yeah,
like he wasn't caught unawares by this. Like they're not like, so Bret, remember how we hate you? We're gonna do that. Like it wasn't that sort of situation. So
no.
And just to remind people that like Charles Robinson was and continues to be a thing, like I thought like that alone was worth it. Like
we complain so often that they don't remember their own history.
Yeah, and we even got like a Charles Robinson like video package on Monday with him, like his match at like Slamboree or whatever.
And everyone, Flair and the announce team calling him Little Nate, and reminding people about the robe. Like that's great. And now we know. Charles Robinson isn't going anywhere, and Charlotte's not going anywhere. So you've created this whole set of opportunities for things to happen.
Yeah. And they announced that We're going to have Charlotte versus Natalya in a submission match at Extreme Rules with Ric Flair banned from ringside.
So my thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. First thought was, why would you do this when you're building the story that Charlotte can't win without shit healing?
Right.
And you do it because she's going to find some new, more permanent friends to be at ringside with her who are not her father.
Go on.
I don't know who they are yet. So
you don't think that it could be Charles Robinson costing her the match again?
I mean, maybe they can go down that well, but that seems too boring and too easy. Especially since it's a submission match. So really, Natalya could put Robinson in the sharpshooter if she really wanted to, and a new ref would have to come out. Although maybe they can do that. I don't know. That sounds pretty cool too. But yeah, I feel like this is the start of Charlotte creating her own stable where people are like, okay, you think I depend on my dad too much? Well, I'll just copy all the stuff that he did, just without him here. Mm-hmm. And he can look on approvingly from afar. But that would be, I don't know if that's my guess or just what I want to happen is we get Charlotte's version of her, not the 4 horsewomen, I guess, but whatever the closest equivalent we can come up with in need is.
What if it turns out that she's the one orchestrating Gallows and Anderson?
Is she biting on Alexa Bliss's gimmick?
Yes. Yes?
But yeah, there's so many, they have so many women wrestlers now that the roster is so deep. WrestleMania showed that. They've still got a ton of them down in NXT. I think you could put together an evil 4 horsewomen setup with Charlotte as the head.
Yes.
And that would be
a Voltron, if you will.
Yeah. Who would you want in it? In
a Charlotte 4 horsewomen?
Yeah.
I mean, like Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey. Let me think. Of the women in NXT / WWE.
Yeah, people already here, not necessarily your dream thing, but
I would go. So you're saying Charlotte has a heel stable of women that are opposed to Natty,
or everyone who.
But at least Natty.
Yeah, but at least
and also assuming that we're still building up to Sasha at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean the huge payoff here is that Charlotte gets some cronies and Sasha is still able to take her down at SummerSlam.
Okay, here's what I would do. I would have Charlotte, Paige, Emma, and then Becky.
Ooh, Becky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to be super obvious, you do if you're going to do a 1-to-1 analog, I would do Charlotte, Paige, Emma, and Tamina. But I don't think they really need an enforcer because they're all good wrestlers. So I would have it be the old Lex Luger thing where it's oh, Becky's here to help Sasha and Natalya. Whoops, nope.
Oh, I just can't fathom Becky turning heel. So, I mean, I know it can happen at some point.
And then she just comes out in BioShock armor.
Just fully.
Yeah.
She's like, well,
she comes out in the big mechanical spider from the end of Wild Wild West.
Okay, now I want this to happen.
Yeah.
That's a good group. I would definitely have Emma. Paige seems like she needs some kind of direction and also to be a heel in a group where maybe she'll be booed for a change. Mm-hmm. So that would work. But yeah, it's that 4th member I'm not so sure about because so many of the heels are already assigned to something. And I feel like, Nia and Eva have their own thing going on and Alexa shouldn't get called up to be part of someone else's thing. But who else is there? I guess Alicia Fox needs something to do at this point because Team Bella's gone, and
she's supposedly off Total Divas next season.
Yeah, and is friends with Paige. In kayfabe. And
that would be good. So. Charlotte. I would also co-sign like Charlotte and then like Paige and Foxy as the tag team, and then like Evil Emma.
Yes.
Dark Emma, Blood Elf Emma. She's so great. God damn, she's the fucking best. She looked so awesome on Monday, and man, I'm so happy she beat Becky Lynch with an eye rake.
Yeah. I also love, who was it on announcing who put over the fact that she's changed so much because she's wearing half gloves?
It was if man, you would think it's probably Byron, but
yeah, just with a quiet little...
That seems like a more astute observation than JBL's capable of. It's the half gloves, Mago. Look at her gloves. She's only wearing half of them.
He'll say it in 2 weeks, though, and take credit for it. Yeah. Byron will be like, dude, come on.
Shut up, Byron. You're worthless.
Okay, so yeah, now stable definitely has to happen.
Yeah.
And it should be that exact stable.
Yeah.
Anyone from WWE listening, that one is on us.
Yeah. Or any member of her stable, if any member of her stable is Sarah Amato, Sarah Del Rey.
Yeah.
That would be pretty rad. Just like her debut. Like
I guess if Summer Rae could need something to do too, and she was one of the originals down with Charlotte. But I don't know if their relationship kind of splintered, so maybe not. No, I'm sticking with Foxy. Foxy's a good get.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's talk about this awesome main event. I loved it. I didn't care about the McMahons being involved in it. I thought they just completely... I thought AJ and Roman both completely murdered this. It was fucking amazing. They killed it. They did great. They told an awesome story, and they still furthered the Bullet Club intrigue without giving anything away. And even the next night on Raw, the story is still going. It's a really good story. AJ proved that he can beat Roman Reigns with or without anyone's help, but it just wasn't in the cards on this particular night because of everything that was happening. So maybe he'll be able to get the upper hand on Extreme Rules. What were your thoughts on the match, on the main event?
I thought it was great, and I didn't mind the restarts either because they were helping point you in the direction of all the things we were talking about maybe happening.
Yeah.
It was like checking boxes off where you're like, this increases the chances of this happening now.
Yeah, it didn't even hit me until like a minute after Shane left that I was like, oh, no DQ. Oh, it could happen. Like, That was awesome.
So I thought they did a good job with that. And yeah, I get people are just tired of like, oh, of course the McMahons have to be in the storyline. It's like, well, dude, it's their company. Come on, like they're whatever. And we have a clear authority angle going on. And I'd rather blend some of this together where it makes sense instead of doing a completely separate authority storyline that is for some reason detached from everything else that's important on the show. So let them get involved in the main event of, Payback.
Yeah.
And, they managed to further two stories with it, which is we'd give other promotions so much credit for the ability to do that. So maybe don't complain too much about the fact that WWE was able to pull that off. And really, it's 3 stories since the Bullet Club thing is still kind of there.
Well, since we didn't talk about the McMahon segment, let's move on to talking about Raw and talk about, unless you got any final thoughts about Payback.
No, I think less said about the McMahon segment, the better. There was a part of me that's like, okay, this is a segment that was too long to start. And then Enzo got hurt and the tag match ended, and I feel like they decided to fill that time by making it way too long instead of just too long.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that like Stephanie spoke for 5 minutes too long, which is, I'm going to be struck down for saying that. Stephanie spoke for too long, and then Shane somehow came out, spoke for less time, but was like way more tedious about it because he was like, here I have PowerPoint, Photoshops, and pandering. I was like, oh my God, just please pick somebody.
How about this headline? Raw is entertaining. Woo.
Raw is adequate. Look at that.
I also like he's like, and from Rolling Stone, Shane McMahon soars on Raw. And I think that was, and it's like the picture of him like dropping the elbow on Undertaker. So like, I'm almost positive that was actually from that week and not from when he took over Raw.
He's a real businessman. He's a real McMahon because he's lying right to your face.
And look at this headline. These are the shoes Shane McMahon will be wearing at WrestleMania.
Shane McMahon loses to Kurt Angle. How'd that get in here?
Shane McMahon bites dog. So the announcement was that both Shane and Stephanie will be co-running Raw. No brand split, no nothing. Stephanie was trying to play up that she's a goody nice person now, but that only lasted as long as the Dean Ambrose segment. But you know what? Dean Ambrose was being an asshole to her, so...
He was. Yeah. He was. Well, because he doesn't buy it, so he's really trying to... It makes sense in that way, where he knows she's faking it. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to provoke her into proving him right. So, it does kind of like work on both levels for both characters. And I expect Stephanie to continue to try to pretend that she's a, face authority figure now until Triple H is ready to come and, like, snap Shane McMahon in two. And then, whole deal will be off, and Stephanie will be evil authority Stephanie once again.
Yeah. Titus O'Neil is back. He got his own entrance he was back last week, but he got his own entrance for the number one contender battle royal for the United States title. I thought that was a neat little touch to be like, hey, look,
he's back.
We remember that he is a thing and that you like him. And we are aware of everything that has happened with him. So we're giving him an entrance. And same thing with Ryder being the runner-up to winning the title is sort of, or winning the number one contendership is sort of like, hey, we remember that this guy's around and that he has value and that you all like him. So here's just us reminding you, like, we know it's okay.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with this Battle Royal of getting people the appropriate attention that they needed and, furthering the Corbin-Ziggler story.
Yeah. And the League of Nations descent. It was nice to see all three League of Nations guys mix it up in there.
Yes, so we could get our Raw introduction to them being broken up as well.
We're probably going to get a Sheamus versus Del Rio match at Extreme Rules as well. Or we might, I should say.
I would be down for that because I feel like Sheamus is at his best when someone is beating the hell out of him, and Del Rio is at his best when he is allowed to beat the hell out of someone. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
these are probably going to beat the hell out of each other, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, but not as fun as Rusev versus Kalisto. And like anyone who it's cool that Ryder was the runner-up, but like once it came down to Ryder and Rusev, it was pretty clear that Rusev was going to win because like what are you going to do? Ryder versus Kalisto for the U.S. title? That doesn't get either guy over.
Zack Ryder, known luchador base.
Well, no, just not that. It's just like,
here's the face alignment.
Here's two guys we want to see them do a better job with instead of like, here's a guy that we hate kayfabe style, and here's a guy that we love kayfabe style. So,
and Rusev is a very different kind of big guy than Ryback was too. So it'll be good for Kalisto to have like a different kind of opponent, different kind of match. And
shit, we might just be gearing up for another Rusev versus John Cena U.S. title feud.
I would be up for that.
Yep. It's funny, it doesn't take very long to because like we were all kind of sick of it by the time WrestleMania rolled around, but we're ready for it again now.
I think we were just sick of it because it was like, big match John at Mania, he's gonna win it.
Also, like Rusev had won so many matches against John Cena in a row, but like it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's okay. John did all right with the U.S. title in 2015.
I think he did. Yeah, that's where it started. That's where the John Cena rehab in the eyes of most fans really started. Was when after he won the U.S. title. So
yeah, started putting on great matches every week, and it was like, hey, he probably, if he had wrestled all year instead of having the injury and leaving for television and all that, like that was your other guy for Wrestler of the Year besides AJ Styles in 2015.
Yeah. I mean, the other major thing that happened was we already talked about Cass, we already talked about Mitch dying. the other thing was just the Bullet Club stuff. What's your takeaway on what's going on here?
I like that they've made it even more unclear in a good way what side Styles will eventually land on, because they've set it up so, maybe Roman Reigns pushes him to eventually snap and become the bad guy that Gallows and Anderson want him to be. Since Reigns keeps reacting and attacking Styles in these moments where Styles is trying to be the good guy, not attack him with a chair, not have his boys come and attack Reigns. So it'll be interesting to see if Styles, holds to that line and continues to be the good guy, and it ends up causing a break with Anderson and Gallows, or if he finally, falls to the dark side and we get him as leader of whatever the Bullet Club will be in WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they've been continuing to do this story correctly, and it's been exciting. And some people were speculating, like, some people were saying that Roman did a heel turn by putting AJ through the table. I don't think that that's right, because it was pretty clear that whole segment was like, and the past few weeks have just been like the two guys seeing different things happening.
Yeah, he saw his cousins getting attacked by AJ Styles with a chair and reacted the way that he should react in this universe where you put people through tables. I don't think there was a heel turn, and they've also made it very clear that like Reigns isn't a good guy or a bad guy anymore. He's just Roman Reigns.
Right.
So there are going to be things he does that are very, stoic, good guy Roman Reigns, and then there's going to be times where, like, dude, you mess with his family, and he's going to just fuck you up.
Mm-hmm. So going into Extreme Rules, we're confident in their alignments. Like, AJ is a good guy that has bad friends, and Roman Reigns is neither a good guy nor a bad guy. He is the guy.
Yeah. Does that make him chaotic neutral? I don't really.
It makes him lawful the guy.
Yeah, I think those are the alignments. I don't think there'll be like an explicit heel turn for Reigns or an explicit face turn. They're going to let the crowd work out their feelings, for however long with Reigns at the top, and he'll just be kind of whatever he is. But yeah, Styles that's the alignment to watch. I think he goes in as a face, and we just have delayed the Bullet Club turning on him by an event or two events or whatever. I still think Finn's going to be the one who comes up and he has the turn. They're dying for like legitimate baby faces at the top so much right now that it just seems weird that you would turn Styles at a time when he is clearly like a guy people are invested in. But you need people to be invested in someone, so it's not like I tricked you, now he's a bad guy. We took your investment and we messed with it.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to cover from Raw?
I think that about covers everything I'm remembering off the top of my head. Did we skip anything?
I don't think we did. So let's talk about NXT real quick, because we covered the major NXT happenings last week because of the title change, which we saw the same 2 minutes of the title change that we have seen previously.
Which is super NXT. Disappointing, by the way, because they hyped that like they were going to show the match.
Yeah, but I think it'll probably be on like Best of NXT Volume 2.
Boo.
Well, we had that Shinsuke Nakamura versus Elias Sampson match to watch.
Man, their house show match was way better. You guys didn't see it. But that was much better, so I was kind of like, oh, this kind of just happened. Like, Nakamura was fine, but Sampson's so much worse on television than he has been on the house show circuit, and I don't know why that is.
I don't know, man. Like, a lot of times people approach them as two different beasts, So.
Well, he should be more like the guy he is on the house show circuit than he is at Full Sail, because he's losing to everybody now, so I don't even know like what's going to happen with him, like whether they're going to repackage him or what's happening. Yeah, it's weird. They're high profile losses too.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I guess they did that with Bull Dempsey for a bit too. Like they were trying to turn him into a thing, and then he lost to Corbin, and that was that. So I don't know. Maybe they're pulling the plug on this one slowly until they can figure it out.
It's just like the last, and this is not a spoiler, but like the last set of NXT tapings, it was like all of the reports were like such and such aggressively defeats Elias Sampson. Like, wow, they're like like it's like the grounds out weekly to second base of of play by play.
Oof.
Yeah, he's not even making hard contact right now. So, but really exciting shit with Dash and Dawson. Like, everything the Rivals doing. Like the 3.0, man, did they ever make the most out of just getting an all-time ass kicking?
The part I remember that match the most, though, is Corey Graves asking if they have squat racks wherever they came from.
Yes. Which is even funnier considering like how. Like, what amazing shape Shane Matthews is in these days. Yeah, it's just... I mean, you see them next to some of the NXT regulars or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, those guys aren't very big, huh? Yeah. But, like, it was so fantastic to be in the crowd for that match, because, like, they came out, and I was like, oh, shit, it's 3.0! And I think I was, like, the only person... Like, I was definitely the only person in my vicinity who knew who the hell these guys were. I was like, what? And I was like, oh my god. And then, like, 45 seconds into the match, they had everybody. Like Shane being like, I'm obeying the rules, and then starting a defense chant, which I hope to God becomes like an NXT thing. That would be great. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I like Dash and Dawson deciding that they weren't mean enough or kicking enough people in the head before. So, like, that's the thing they got to do now. Just mutilate everyone in the division. They're like, we say just fists, but do we mean it? It's time to reevaluate. Guys, just do a whip around. We're going to have a fist audit. Are we doing just fists? You know what? I watched a match. We did something resembling a flip, so it's time to refocus. Refocus all of their anger on Blake and Murphy. You know what? Our goal for the fiscal year is going to be 300% more fists. Wait, was it Blake and Murphy they attacked after, or it was the Hype Bros, I believe? Oh, the Hype Bros who had defeated Blake and Murphy. That's right. So yeah, that division is apparently going to be in disarray now because Dash and Dawson are going to murder everyone in it, and then lose to American Alpha, presumably. Yep, we'll see. But then they come up to WWE and start anew. And Eva Marie versus Asuka, probably Eva Marie's best wrestling match she's ever had. Like, maybe not the best match because her title match against Bayley was just the best, but such a great, like, she's just coming along so well now. Like, she's getting it more and more all the time, and I'm excited about it. I'm not as excited about the fact that it seems like my yells for Eva Marie didn't really come through on television. So I'm a little sad about that. Because you were drowned out by Corey Graves' yells. Yeah, I was. Because like right when she got right when they got in the ring together, and like after the bell rang, they were like just standing there looking at each other. Like there was no one talking, and I like it was like very quiet. It was the first match of the taping, and I just went, "Yeah, Eva Marie, you rule!" And it was the loudest shit. And I'm just sad that didn't come through. I agree with you that it was, like, as far as quality of wrestling went, it was her best match that she's had. She still needs to... listen, it's okay if Sasha doesn't bounce off the ropes too hard, because Sasha is, like, I don't know, 5 feet tall or whatever. But, I mean, she's not actually that small. But Eva is one of the, the tallest and, like, most built women in the whole division. She's going to hit those ropes harder. Like, Natty still does the same thing, so I understand you can have an entire career of not bouncing off the ropes hard, but, like, tiptoeing to them. Honestly, there's a lot of women who don't hit the ropes hard when they run the ropes, but, I can live with it. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a little thing. It really is a little thing. If she makes it a character thing, like, then just no problem. Like, she's like, I'm not going to bruise up my gorgeous back with hitting the ropes hard, you monsters. And then just starts teasing that she's going to run the ropes, but instead just like drops someone after looking at them. Yeah. But yeah, she's improving.
And I've seen her and Asuka work well together. Not to keep bringing up house shows. But yeah, she's really coming along. And I don't know when she'll be a finished-ish product and be on the main roster, for real. But I mean, Nia is the main character in that story right now, anyway. So Eva doesn't have to be, 100% ready anyway.
Yeah. And this week we've been promised that we're going to see old Sparkle Butt in action.
How much will his butt sparkle, though?
Oh, all the way. The big Lucha Underground news. Well, we got 2 matches. Like, this episode was like probably the least storyline we've ever seen in an episode of Lucha Underground. It was just 2 well, except for like the all night long episode or Aztec Warfare. But like, we just had 2 matches, 2 awesome matches. We had so there've only been 2 cage matches in Lucha Underground history. Johnny Mundo's been in both of them. Once as a face against Cuerno, once as a heel against Cage. Cage beat Mundo and Taya, and he won an Ancient Aztec medallion. And then we got new Lucha Underground Trios champs.
Yeah, it's always exciting when the current champs get eliminated before the end.
Yeah. When you have guaranteed new champion.
Yeah. And yeah, then it really just felt like, the the team of masked legends was going to win for sure. But you didn't care because it's like, how are they going to do it? Probably with pizza DDTs and crazy flips.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, I love, obviously I love Jack Evans. I think him and PJ together are just fantastic. And I thought I realized that like the 3 like biggest faces in the company are probably going to win instead of these other guys. But like, they could have done something fun with that, with like Jack and PJ like being the champs and like trying to like actively keep Phoenix out of their matches and stuff.
That would have been fun. Although now I am wondering who takes the trios titles from those 3 guys. Because they're winning the trios titles to keep them away from the main event scene, really. But
yeah, I think really the only one. I think the only thing that right now would make sense would be for the Unlikely Trio to come back at full strength and take their titles back.
Yeah, because there's really no heel team I see that you can really put together with what's going on that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's probably right. Especially, they lost unfairly. We don't know what happened to Angelico. Why is he hurt? Why was he out?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to imagine that Dario Cueto had something to do with it.
I hope so.
But we shall see.
It's been so good having him back. He's such just an asshole. It's great.
Yeah. And then we got Pentagon Intrigue. He's had his back broken. He's in a wheelchair. Vampiro says he's weak. He pours some mysterious black candle wax on him. Leaves the candle. Leaves him laying. Who knows what shall happen?
Man, when characters get broken down and they come back, or in, the case of like Mil Muertes, die and then return, they tend to be pretty badass. So, Reborn Phoenix was amazing. Reborn Mil Muertes was amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder what healthy, motivated Pentagon is going to be like.
It's probably going to be exciting.
Well, Pentagon Jr. I'm sorry, Pentagon is his father.
Yes. Please, my father was Pentagon. Anything else from Lucha Underground or anything else that happened during the week that we want to cover?
Yeah, apparently Vampiro's not taking his meds.
Oh, right.
Like that was the other realization for the Pentagon thing was, wait a second. Maybe he stopped taking them because here he is, painted up like, a vampire pope.
I just really hope that like the pill bottle says like take one by mouth twice a day to prevent becoming Dark Master.
We need a shot of this.
Warning may cause good alignment. May cause commentary enthusiasm.
Man, I'm very excited for more Lucha. We're running out of season though, huh?
Are we?
I think because there's only 20-something episodes this year.
Yeah, but we're only on episode like 13 or 14. So
yeah, well, that's what I mean. We're coming down to
the last few months.
Last 2 months. But you assume Aztec, not Aztec, is Lucha Underground.
Ultima Lucha.
Wow. Yes. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
My brain was sitting there being excited about how the third to last episode last year was penultima Lucha, and I just lost all ability to speak. Ultima Lucha was essentially 3 episodes last year. So it feels like we're coming. They probably won't do 3 episodes this time for Ultima Lucha. But if you assume 2, then it's like, oh, what do you got? You have 4 regular episodes left, and then your finale, your 2-week finale.
Well, we still have to redistribute all the medallions. There's a lot to still get done.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And then we'll begin the long wait until it comes back.
At least this time we know it's coming back. It will make it feel less lengthy of a wait.
Yeah. The only I think that's it. You can't think of anything else?
No, since I didn't watch New Japan this morning. Whoops.
There's a new shirt that just came out that is very specific to if you like certain things. If you go to bottomlinemerch.com, if you're familiar with the Ring of Honor wrestler Moose, he just released a shirt that says Moose, free Brady, spear Goodell.
I didn't know, and I should know this. I didn't know that he played for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. There's a lot of people who play for the Patriots, dude.
That's true. They have
so many
people at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know he was a former Patriots player until I saw him saying that he wants to spear Goodell. And I'm in favor of it. I like Moose. I don't like Goodell. Let's make it happen.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for listening. As always, thanks to Mark for joining me because he's a great guy.
Hey, that's me.
You should follow him on Twitter. How can they follow you on Twitter, Mark?
Mark_Normandin.
Sweet. You should also stay tuned to CageSideSeats.com. You should stay tuned to SBNation.com/wrestling. You should check out SBNation.com/MLB if you want to check out Mark's baseball coverage. And if you want to check out his Red Sox coverage, go to OverTheMonster.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sundown Motel. If you want to email us about anything at all, RudoRadioPodcast@gmail.com. Of course, remember to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. What should people write as a review if they don't want to think of their own review?
Oh, boy. I'm trying to think of a eulogy for Mitch.
Oh.
I didn't know him. well.
If Mitch...
just R.I.P. Mitch.
Okay. R.I.P. Mitch, 5 stars. 5-star death. Thanks to everyone for listening. Go to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. Copy and paste R.I.P. Mitch into there as the review. Give us however many stars that you'd like, but we'd recommend 5. The full 5. The full hog. Yeah. Anyway. Thanks to everybody for listening. We'll talk to you next week.